Eviction moratoriums heat up, and Nancy Pelosi has no comment about them. Ironically, because she wants to keep herself in the House. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is LALATE, and this is Afternoons LALATE, our programming block that starts every day at 3:30 with the check, then goes to hazard pay, then FPUC, and then finally rent. What a big day it is in a programming schedule that spans 3.5 hours. Thank you for joining me. If you're part of the Purple Power community, go and subscribe to this channel and hit a like on this video. Let's get to the incredible details right now. First, eviction moratoriums and mortgage forbearances are now protected under a CDC order issued last week. But there's a big twist. That twist was revealed yesterday, and I'm going over more details in this video right now. The twist is you have to do stuff. You actually have to do things. You can't sit back and say, I'm protected, because you are not. You're not protected if you don't do anything. That's clearly what the CDC order says. It says you have to do stuff. And if you don't do the stuff, which is not particularly hard, it's not particularly time consuming, then you will be evicted. Then your home will be foreclosed upon. And we don't want that to happen. Unless you're Nancy Pelosi, we'd be happy to have you out of the house. But let's get to the incredible details. A new report out of CNBC today confirms basically my reporting for yesterday, but does it a little bit more detailed. So let me go over this. It talks about the CDC order, which I have a link to in the description of this video. You need to go to that link because that link will provide you the instructions of what you have to do. It'll also provide you a link to do a declaration that you're required to do as well. First, are you eligible? Well, this is for people who earn less than $99,000 in a year in 2020 or $198,000. So this is the first criterion for eligibility. The second criterion is or that you received a stimulus check and that you were not required to pay income taxes in 2019. So if you received a stimulus check, you qualify. It's as simple as that. If it's a first stimulus check, you qualify. You receive a second stimulus check, you qualify. If you don't have to pay taxes because you don't make enough money, you qualify. If you did pay taxes, then you had to make less than $99,000 in 2020. Interesting. Next, you have to be able to confirm, and you're going to confirm it in that declaration page that they provide you, that you're unable to make rent due to a substantial loss of household income, or a layoff of ordinary out-of-pocket medical expenses. That's my SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and Railroad people. If you have extraordinary medical expenses, that's what triggers you. That you were evicted, or that becoming evicted will make you become homeless. Do you have to do documentation to get the eviction moratorium? No. But every single report says it's recommended for you to do the paperwork. Why? Because it's going to be a challenge by your landlords as you don't qualify, and you have to have the documentation ready. So basically, it's a yes, you have to do the paperwork. If renters meet the above requirements, they have to sign a declaration form and give it to the landlord. You should try to give the form to your landlord in person. Make sure you keep a copy of it for yourself. I love that. By CNBC. Emily Benford, an eviction expert and visiting professor at Wake Forest, says if a tenant cannot pay the rent, they should provide the declaration to their property owner as soon as possible. Okay, so here is what's so important, is that the CDC guidelines don't say you have to do it, don't say you have to do any of the paperwork, but I've been telling you, and now legal experts are saying the same, do the paperwork right away. Right away. When this video is finished, write up the paperwork and give it to your landlord in person right away. If the landlord ignores your ban, then you need to get legal help, says the report. Here is the problem. The landlords may and are expected to violate, not follow, not comply with the eviction moratorium order of CDC. It is expected. Why? Because they did on the first pandemic. first pandemic round. When the pandemic hit in March and we had an eviction moratorium in the CARES Act, the first round of stimulus, landlords nationally violated the rule. So they're expected to do it again. The way it tees up is the following. You follow the instructions of the CDC order, which also has another provision in there that this article doesn't talk about. Let me tell you right now, that's the one that requires you to look for grants in your area. At least just look for them. You have to just look for them and determine that they were not available. You just have to do it. Again, it's another step you have to do. You do these steps, you do the paperwork, you give the paperwork to the landlord, you have set up everything that's to protect you, you're done for your purpose. Then they're going to violate the order, potentially. Then at that point, you need to seek legal help. The court may also be able to give people contact information, as Eckert. You can find low cost of free legal help regarding eviction in your state at LAWhelp.org. Oh, okay. Lawhelp.org. If the CDC bans, quote, any action to effectuate an eviction for non-payment of rent, the CDC bans an action to effectuate an eviction for non-payment of rent, but they can evict you for something else. Therefore, if you're in the process of being evicted for that reason, you need to use this moratorium, but there's other things that it doesn't protect. Now, as I've reported on this channel a lot, the eviction moratorium in the federal CDC order can be done more stringent by a state or local level. That's allowed. It just can't be more relaxed on a local level. The nationwide action doesn't change your local laws, Benford says. Those remain in place. It doesn't stop property owners from reporting you for non-payment to credit unions, but a state rule in Connecticut says you do. So what's interesting here is that, states can do things more restrictive, but it also doesn't stop other things that don't concern rent. Some states and cities have allocated funds to help people stay in their homes. Arizona earmarked $5 million for that purpose, CNBC reports. Residents in Delaware can apply for up to $1,500 in rental assistance. Similar programs exist in Montana, Iowa, Ohio, and New York. Meanwhile, landlords are showing a willingness to work with tenants who ask to do a payment plan, says experts. Will that work? What's important to understand as we sit here tonight is that rent evictions remain a very deep, troubling issue across the country. But the other deep, troubling issue is rent aid. That's grants. It's different than eviction moratoriums. And grants really are going to encompass the second stimulus package, phase 2, also called third stage. The third stage is not this week. That's not the bill coming out this week or at the time of this broadcast today. That's going to come in later September, and that bill will provide other things. And it's likely to include money for rent. It has to. It has to, because you can't have an eviction moratorium in place that protects you, keep you in home till December, and then you're not paying rent. And then December 31st, you're evicted because the eviction moratorium expires. And then you're on the street because you didn't have rent. And what also happens on December 31st, the landlord gets foreclosed upon by his bank because his apartment tenants weren't paying the rent. So he loses his apartment. And suddenly everything starts to fall apart very quickly. You can't have that happen. And it's very strange why a president who came up in the real estate industry doesn't understand that, has not done anything for rent aid in the middle of a pandemic. His eviction moratorium was finally issued after this channel called him out for weeks and weeks and weeks, not getting it done right. He had done an eviction moratorium under a executive order, but did not create anything. It was just sort of a half-baked idea. And then finally, CDC came in by the orders, by the language established in that executive order to establish this executive order, which was very strange unto itself, but it's there, and thank God it exists. But it's not going to solve the problem in a few weeks. And what I've been detailing extensively, and I'm going to repeat it again, is that you need to see this rent aid bill passed around October. It can't be passed in November. It can't be passed in December, because what's going to happen is you need about 30 days for the program to be set up. You need about 30 days for applicants to apply. And you need about 30 days for people to get their money. That's 3 months. December, November, October. You got to get it done by October. Where is that? That's literally around the corner. With that, there's a lot to take in and a lot to remember. I'm updating things all the time about rent, so stay with this video and stay with LALATE. As always, go to the front of the channel and hit the subscribe and alert button so you get an alert when a new video goes live. There's always something new about rent. Also, like this video. The algorithm appreciates when you like a video because it says that the video was helpful. There's a lot out there about rent, and I'm worried that viewers of this channel talk about the loominess of homelessness but may not have watched this video, may not have downloaded the CDC order, may not have looked at what needs to be required, and I hope you do take heed of this warning. Again, the CDC order is in the description of this video. Coming up this afternoon after this is Evenings LALATE with big developments perhaps on the introduction of the stimulus bill. As always, stay informed, stay smiling. Have a great evening or afternoon wherever you are, and stay with LA for more.